This is 5 on your side at noon. Focused on you.
Breaking at noon, Hurricane Idalia pounding Florida and Georgia. This is video as the storm made landfall this morning as a Category 3 hurricane. The eye of the storm making landfall in the Big Bend region of Florida. It's now heading toward Valdosta, Georgia. Here's a shot from Cedar Key, Florida. You can see the strong winds and the waves there. Coastal storm surges reached as high as 16 feet in some places. More than 230,000 homes are without power right now. Thanks for being here at noon. I'm Kay Quinn. We begin our coverage in Gainesville, Florida with NBC's Jay Gray. It's an area that's seeing major storm surges.
Idalia moving through Florida and now pushing into Georgia. What it left behind in this area, heavy rain, standing water in some lower lying areas. Of course, we're in Gainesville, which is removed from the coastline a bit. Along that coastline, as the storm made landfall in the early morning hours, we saw a huge storm surge moving in, pushing water into areas it's not supposed to be, and severe wind damage in many of those areas as well. So a hard strike at the coastline, but moving quickly and getting through the state, which is the good news. Clearing up here, as you can see in Gainesville, there was obviously concern. This is where the University of Florida is, so you've got 50,000 students and a huge faculty there. That campus still locked down at this point. And we're starting to see some sun poke through the clouds, but we're going to continue to see rain and some gusting winds throughout the day here and into the evening. But again, this storm moving quickly and pushing through, but still a major concern, not only in Georgia, but it's going to continue up the eastern seaboard and into the Carolinas. That's the latest from here in Gainesville. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
The center of that now much weaker storm is over Georgia. Meteorologist Tracy Hinson is here with the Weather First forecast. What's next for Idalia, Tracy?
Alrighty, so the current track of this storm, it's now really focusing its efforts over Georgia, and it is going to make its way up into Charleston. Pretty impressive storm, and something that is a little bit more rare is we still have the radar view of this. A lot of times the radar sites can get taken out by these very strong winds, but we still have radar on this storm just because of its more inland tracking. So it is currently a Category 1 storm. It is going to move up and kind of over the Charleston area. It'll glance North Carolina as a tropical depression before making its way back out to sea with 50-mile-an-hour winds. So the current track of it right now, it is 40 miles northeast of Valdosta in Georgia. It has 80-mile-per-hour winds, and it's moving pretty quickly at 20 miles per hour. That movement is good. If it was moving any slower, it would certainly drop a considerable amount of rainfall over those areas, and that could really be an issue. Now, those 80-mile-an-hour winds still quite strong and damaging, but moving along at 20 miles per hour, that's a nice good clip. Now, just to give you a little perspective, our thunderstorms around here tend to move at anywhere between 30 and 50 miles per hour, so they do move a little bit faster. That 20 miles per hour, though, is a pretty good range for this storm.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Developing right now, Hospital Sisters Health System is dealing with a major internet and phone outage. According to a social media post, the systems have been down since Sunday. We're told patients haven't been able to access their online charts or reach doctors. HSHS operates 5 medical facilities in the Metro East, including St. Elizabeth's Hospital in O'Fallon.
I'm Sydney Stallworth in the Central West End, where it's a new year, a new name for Rosati Kane Academy now, all to mark its new independence. You'll remember last year we reported on the St. Louis Archdiocese plan to close this school under the All Things New restructuring plan. But the alumni and the community came together to keep the doors open, independent of the Archdiocese, and that means there are some changes students will see this year. The halls at Rosati Kane Academy are buzzing after a year of uncertainty.
It was going to be an end, is what we thought.
Instead, it's the beginning of a new chapter. Thanks to an alumni network and a push from the community, Rosati Kane High School is now an independent institution known as Rosati Kane Academy.
We are not just important to these young women, but we're important to the future of the city of St. Louis.
Women rooted in Rosati are bringing up the next generation of change makers.
I graduated in 1987.
87.
This is my 22nd year. working with Rosati Kane.
The director of curriculum says students will see some changes this year.
Some new classes, having a new studio for them to participate in wellness activities. We've also changed up the halls and added new artwork.
Plus a push to ensure the student body reflects the community.
Just the fact that I'm here and that more students that look like me are here, lets you know that representation matters.
This year, students are getting out of the classroom and into the city.
Using the city of St. Louis as our campus.
Learning lessons beyond the blackboard.
Real world application to what we're learning here in the classroom.
Lessons one alumna says will stick with them for a lifetime.
The feeling that you get to do whatever you want to do and the courage to do it.
That teacher you just heard from is a Rosati Kane alumna sitting beside her daughter, who now walks these halls as a student. The president of Rosati Kane Academy also tells me that the school is still relying on community support. Donations help offset the tuition gap, and that's crucial because 70% of families here receive financial aid. Reporting in Central West End, I'm Sydney Stallworth, 5 on your side.
Happening today, Missouri Governor Mike Parson will sign a bill to help rural hospitals stay open. A federal law passed in 2021 made money available for rural hospitals, so the state measure being signed by Parson in about 2 hours would let hospitals choose if they want to be designated as an emergency hospital. If they do, they could access more federal funding. The Missouri Hospital Association says since 2014, 18 hospitals in the state have closed. Former employees of South City Hospital in St. Louis are suing the facility's owner. According to our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal, the suit alleges the owners violated federal law by failing to file notice of closure. The hospital closed earlier this month after years of financial turmoil. There's been no comment from the owners. New developments today in Jennings. Mayor Gary Johnson has filed a lawsuit against 5 city council members. The suit seeks to invalidate an emergency meeting held last week following the resignations of multiple city employees. It claims the city clerk had no power to carry out the meeting because her resignation took effect just hours before. 5 council members plan to vote no confidence against the mayor Monday, but none of them showed up. They accuse the mayor of abuse of power, forcing employees to resign and violating the Sunshine Law. 4 Missouri communities will receive millions of dollars in flood relief from FEMA. The 3 are in St. Louis County, University City, Webster Groves, and Ladue. FEMA wants the flood-prone buildings torn down and replaced with green space.
This funding is available through our Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities funding, which and our flood mitigation assistance programs. So because of the bipartisan infrastructure law, those 2 grant programs had a record amount of funding.
FEMA also says the process will make communities stronger and able to handle future floods. Well, there's no question it has been a bad season for the St. Louis Cardinals. The losses on the field are causing many downtown businesses to suffer financially. One business being affected is Kay's Unique Dogs.
Between the weather, the heat, the storms, and then just fans aren't coming because we're not playing like we usually do. I'm trying to keep it out because I'm trying to be here for the fans, plus make a living. And you know, I don't want to leave because everybody relies on us.
Kay's Unique Dogs has cut down on products and even reduced hours. Still ahead, possible help for the 49 million Americans who depend on Medicare for their prescription drugs.
Since I was 9 years old and I'm now 86, love of music. That's it.
A passion for music, the musician passing down his dream to another generation.